Now it's time for Toker Talk Radio, the voice of the marijuana nation.
What are you people? On dope?
Where you can toke.
I inhaled frequently.
Or you can talk.
I experimented with marijuana and didn't inhale.
Or you can toke and talk.
10 federal criminal penalties for possession of up to 1 ounce of marijuana.
While we talk about toke on Toker Talk Radio.
So, by the way, when it comes to pot, if you're 40 years old, you live in a log cabin in Oregon, you got 12 giant pot plants in your backyard, have a ball.
Live from beautiful Portland, Oregon at Rolla J Studios.
Hey, this is great.
Just not cannabis.
Plus your calls live at 971-533-7111.
They're walking on their pants with their cap on backwards, listening to Enema Man and Snoopy Poop Dog.
What's to keep somebody from getting all potted up on weed and then getting behind the wheel? Gateway theory doesn't work. It's a reality.
Holland, is it real? Don't tease me.
We're locking up people that take a couple of puffs of marijuana, and the next thing you know, they got 10 years.
And now, here's your host, the guru of ganja graphics, the sultan of sativa statistics, and the worst nightmare of a reefer-mad prohibitionist. A polite, perspicacious, productive pothead with a propensity for PowerPoint. Radical Russ Belville.
Oh, no. I'm sorry, folks. That's our channel to the prohibitionists. We're pretty upset about this House vote. Yeah. They're there. They're there, Kevin. It's okay. It's okay, Kevin. Settle down. Settle down. You're going to make yourself sick. Stop it. Stop it, young man. Hey, welcome back. I'm Radical Russ. It's Toker Talk Radio. It's Friday. Welcome to the weekend. We're starting off with a phone call. We already have someone calling in from right here in beautiful Oregon. How are you doing? What's on your mind?
I'm doing fine. Hi, this is Helen Marie with NCRA.
Hey, good to hear from you. How are you?
So far, fabulous. If the votes continue to go our way, I will be fantastic.
I know. Wasn't that great news? I was up late last night, waiting for it to hit because I had to write it up for High Times Magazine. I'm the West Coast guy, so I always get those late news stories in for the morning in the East Coast. So it worked out good for me, too.
Well, I actually made the mistake of watching it all the way through.
Oh, no.
The bureaucracy that it takes to get a bill passed, the logistics are a nightmare.
Yeah.
And the level of communication, it would put a normal person to sleep unmedicated.
I was going to say, you'd think Ambien would be against televising these things because it would be competition.
Very true. They should be.
So what's on your mind today? I think I hit you up through the Twitter feed. You had something you wanted to talk about.
Yes. I have watched and I have listened and I've kept my ear to the ground, and we're new to the business. It's a group of us that started the National Cannabis Regulatory Association.
Okay.
So the enforcement has started. They are fining and fees and penalties, the revenue that states can't get because they watched Colorado double, triple, quadruple their revenue. They are going after people like gangbusters.
Now, you're talking about right here in Oregon, right? Because they've just, I believe, the health authority now that we have regulated dispensaries, they're starting to go after the ones that aren't regulated and saying, "Hey, you gotta come up to regs, or you're out of business." Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah. The funny thing about it is Oregon, Michigan, California, LA. They've been really tough. And they're going after the ones like in Oregon, they have dispensaries, pop-up dispensaries apparently, that got the actual marijuana license for operations, but never got a Secretary of State's business license. How that would be is beyond me.
That is
They
interesting.
never got the actual business license from the state.
So wasn't that a requirement, though?
It was one of the criteria, which is crazy because I thought that was a part of the submission process to get the actual license. And apparently, it's a state worker. It's a state worker mentality. Oh, yeah, here, stamp it, move on. And it's not hurting the state. Because they're going back and collecting $500 a day from dates that the license was issued.
Right. Yeah, so it can be a fine, $500 a day, and going back to, when they first got you. So, yeah, that can make a lot of money that way.
So they're looking at tagging as much revenue as humanly possible. Another thing that I've seen on a couple of ballots that I'm watching are the disposal of unusable products. They're planning on going back and taxing the hoo-ha out of the dispensaries or the cultivation centers in reference to how are they disposing it. Are they putting it in the trash? Are they putting it in the recycle? Is it going in the compost? Because it's not supposed to go into either.
Mm-hmm.
And I find it very interesting that here it is, they won't teach a class to tell people the regulatory agreement, but they will fine, they will penalize, and they will snatch the license and keep the non-refundable application fees. And it's like, well, even when I took the trip to Washington and I asked, is there going to be something that tells someone in Allen, oh, well, we have a program, oh, we have a website. So a group of us took the time to read 7,000 pages for 22 states, read Maryland by mistake, and by the time we finished reading it, it had passed and was approved. The regulatory agreements for each state, following it from the petition, the ballot, the bill, the enacted law, it is so, it is just, it's like being micromanaged by the widget committee.
It can be, and trying to teach people more about how that regulatory process and legislative process works is something I've always tried to do a little bit, but, getting into the deep weeds of, councils and committees, I applaud you for wanting to get into that because it's a lot of work.
But so far we've condensed it down to one is a 2-day class. The 2-day class, that's just business owners and cultivators because the traceability factor that they have on a national scale, they want it traced from seed all the way to the patient.
Yep. Seed to sale model.
From seed to sale. And the sad part is they do not give you the details of how to. If I hadn't read it for myself and all I wanted to do, Russ, was start a small medicinal marijuana restaurant, that's all I wanted to do until I saw that it was a non-refundable, almost $9,000 fee.
So if people want more information and to learn what you guys are doing with your regulatory association, do you have like a website, Facebook that you can tell people?
We have the website. We have the Twitter page. We have the Twitter page, the Facebook, and the website up. And the classes are up, which are filling up like crazy because now they put in a couple of ballots in reference to the medical marijuana patients of minors, where it's supposed to be reported to a CPS counselor. And they haven't established the staff for any of this. Yeah,
that's what we want. We want CPS involved. They're always so fair.
It's a little crazy, and I make sure I follow every nook and cranny.
Yeah.
We actually take the time to go a step further than to teach people what was in the regulatory agreement. We take the certification that they receive for the educational hours and submit them to the Department of Health, the Department of Revenue, the Department of Agriculture. So it deems you as I read, I acknowledge, I'm accountable, I'm responsible. Because that's the only way this is going to stay in place.
All right. Well, I'm glad you're doing that. Give people the name of your group again so they can find those Facebook and Twitter accounts.
National Cannabis Regulatory Association.
NCRA, National Cannabis Regulatory Association. All right. Well, thank you for calling in and telling us all about it. I hope we can get you some more people checking it out.
Thank you, Russ, and we'll be in touch.
All righty. Now, see, that's exactly what we're all about here at 420 Radio, is giving people a chance to express themselves, especially in this hour 2. We're going to be going through a lot of changes here. We're going to be moving the daily Toker tunes to hour 2 and trying to have more guests and freeform panels here. So hope you'll be with us.
It's simply business. It's simply business. It's simply business, you know why they won't let us grow. It's simply business.
We'll be right back after these messages from our 420 friendly sponsors. Support these advertisers because their ad money goes straight to the Russ Belville Show. You're tuned into the Russ Belville Show, the voice of the marijuana nation.
It's simply business. It's simply business. It's simply business, you know why they won't let us grow. It's simply business. It's simply business, you know why they won't let us grow. It's simply business.
Hey Tokers and Tokettes, Radical Russ here to introduce you to my friend Matt and all the staff at Lush LED Lighting. Growing plants indoors can be a rewarding hobby, but electricity bills can go through the roof. Then you have to cool down all those big hot lights. It can drive a grower insane. With Lush LED lighting, you can solve many of these issues and double your rewards. If you thought LEDs were meet the tech of today, Matt and his scientists have developed the perfect light for flowering plants with far less cost and heat. And the results? Let's just say I appear at a lot of events with the masters of indoor horticulture, and the harvests I saw from Lush LED lighting were big, tight, sticky, and very effective. Check out LushLEDlighting.com right now and tell them Radical Russ sent you. Double your rewards and lower your expenses with Lush LED Lighting. You can get 420 Radio on the go with the TuneIn Radio app for all mobile platforms. Go to rad-r.us/420tunein or just click the TuneIn Radio icon below the live radio feed on 420radio.org. The law offices of Omar Figueroa would like to remind you to stand up for your rights. Please do not give up your precious liberties. There's nothing wrong with standing up for our constitutional rights, and in fact, it's the best way to honor the Constitution that recognizes our natural rights. Treat law enforcement with respect and respect the Constitution by standing up for your rights. If you are detained or arrested, stand up for your rights by repeating, "I respectfully invoke all of my legal and constitutional rights. I do not consent to any search and seizure. I want to remain silent, and I want to speak with my attorney, Omar Figueroa." Omar Figueroa has more than a decade of experience in federal and California courts and graduated from Yale University, Stanford Law School, and Trial Lawyers College. Please contact the law offices of Omar Figueroa at 415-489-0420 or 707-829-0215 or on the web at omarfigueroa.com.
You're so good to me, you make me feel so happy. You're so good to me, you fill my soul with purity. And now all I see is better born within me. You're so good to me, that you know you set me free.
Wee! I love the shit, make me wanna do the flip. Wee! Do it again, bring that fat sack in, my friend. Wee! Alright! Gonna smoke the green all night. Wee! Once again, go on and pass it to me, my friend.
Some they like to hit the ball, some just took the vibe. Me, I like to roll the bus, get them nice and tight. Different strokes for different folks, but no matter what you do, up and fast and make it last. You thine stay true.
Wee! Oh yes, since Amelia is the best. Wee! Damn right, this hemp jacket is damn tight. Wee! No mistake.
Welcome back. That's Year of the Dragon with High Times. Sorry to be so late on the comeback there, but I had to tweet out the news. You know, I'm doing this live. I had to tweet out the news. Donald Sterling, you know, Donald, we're going off the warpath here for a second. Off the warpath for just a moment. We really got to get a better sound clip for that. So Donald Sterling, you know him. He was the guy that's the owner, is the owner. I don't know if he's sold yet, of the Los Angeles Clippers, who was recorded by his, I forgot what her title was, counselor or something. Yeah. Anyway, recorded by her saying terrible things like, you know, don't be seen with black people all the time and putting your pictures up on Instagram with black people and quit bringing the black people to my games. Which, you know, was a real smart PR move for an NBA owner. So, anyway, since this offended a whole bunch of very rich black people, Donald Sterling was banned from the NBA, forced to sell his team. And so the news now that's breaking is that he is going to sue the NBA for $1 billion. I can't wait for this. The $1 billion NBA lawsuit, right? Meanwhile, there's a team in Washington, D.C., in the NFL, whose name is an outright racial slur. And Keith Olbermann did a segment on his sports show the other night where there's been some evidence uncovered that the original guy who named the Redskins, and sorry for using the term, the original guy who came up with that name had nothing to do with wanting to praise the Native Americans for their bravery and their courage. You know, the BS line that Dan Snyder and those guys will always give you, right? So there's new evidence that shows that, yeah, even back then, they knew they were calling it, you know, as a racial epithet. The patent office won't let you patent or trademark anything that has that word in it because it's a racial epithet. But, you know, there's not a whole bunch of rich Native American people to complain about that. So that's a little bit different, you know. Anyway, Donald Sterling suing the NBA for $1 billion. I actually have the solution, by the way. I have the solution to the whole Washington football team thing. You know, in my off time, when I'm not solving all the problems of marijuana legalization, I'm solving the rest of the world's problems. Because somebody's got to. And I got really good weed. So, anyway, I've got the solution to the whole Washington football team problem. Keep the colors, right? The yellow and the brick red, right? Keep that. Keep the iconography, even, of the Native American, right? Keep that even. But change the name to the Americans. The Washington Americans. And then you've got Native Americans on, you know, the Washington Americans. They were the first Americans. I think you'd get goodwill from the tribes. I think, you know, that how could you say, we don't want to be called the Americans because that would be what? Wouldn't that be great? You'd be America's team. You're the Americans. And it'd also be kind of a finger in the eye to the Dallas Cowboys, their most hated rival in football, because Dallas Cowboys is always America's team, right? So you'd have the Dallas Cowboys, America's team, in a rivalry with the Washington Americans. I mean, Washington, the father of our country, Americans, the natives. It's just genius. That's why I have to smoke weed, because if I didn't smoke a whole lot of weed, I'd solve all the world's problems, and then nobody else would have anything else to do. So I hope you enjoy my little off the warpath rambling. Thank you. It's almost like I'm a king now or something. All right. We are approaching 4:20 here in the Pacific time zone. Do a little Follow Friday shout outs to Aaron Houston, who was our guest earlier on the show. Great guest. We'll have him on more. His handle on Twitter is @HoustonAaron. Spelled exactly the way it should. Houston, like the city, Aaron, Aaron, the biblical spelling. Houston Aaron. His, of course, that'll replay at 6:45 and 9:45 tonight. And 6:45, 3:45, 6:45, and 9:45 tomorrow morning. And then our caller who just called with the National Cannabis Regulatory Association, their Twitter handle is @CannabisNCRA. So you can follow them. Also, I encourage you to follow Open Vape @OpenVape. You know, they are doing the right thing. And their PR guy, @Todd Mitchum, MITCHEM. And tell him thank you for doing the right thing. He's heard a lot of bad stuff, you know, negative troll stuff out there on the internet from people who claim to be marijuana supporters. So if you're a marijuana supporter, Give him a tweet of thanks. Say thank you for doing the right thing, and hope you understand why we're so pissed off about piss testing. That's all. All right, it is 4:20 on a Friday. That's significant, folks. And at 4:20 on a Friday where the House has finally voted to spare the medical marijuana states from federal interference. It's beautiful.
Oh, have you ever
Let's
met
toke
that
to that.
funny reefer man? A reefer man. Have you ever met that funny reefer man? A reefer man. If he said he swam to China, he would sell you South Carolina. Then you know you're talking to that reefer man.
In the marijuana law reform.
When you are starting up a medical cannabis business, you don't just want any attorney. You want a fired-up lawyer who understands the needs of cannabis consumers. The law office of Lauren Vasquez is your fired-up lawyer for the cannabis industry. Lauren Vasquez knows the details of California marijuana law from both a personal and professional angle. Lauren Vasquez rose from the ranks of college normal activist to become one of the Bay Area's best marijuana lawyers. Visit her website, fireduplawyer.com, or call 1-855-MMJ-LAWS for more information. That's 855-665-5297 for Lauren Vasquez, your fired-up lawyer, or email fireduplawyer@gmail.com. The number again is 855-MMJ-LAWS, 855-665-5297 for your fired-up lawyer, Lauren Vasquez. Lauren Vasquez is an activist attorney you can trust. Call today. You know Herb Thrasher from the Herb Thrasher Flower Hour. Now get ready for Herb Age Designs for the proud cannabis consumer. Herb Age Designs, lifestyle gear for the 420 friendly. Herb Age Designs, home of the famous lighter leash. Herb Age Designs. Get your Herb Age t-shirts and hoodies and show your pride. Herb Age Designs. We've got Frisbee golf discs and durable hemp gear. Herb Age Designs. We've got shot glasses, drinking glasses, coffee mugs, and beer cozies. Check us out on Facebook and online at herbagedesigns.com. And follow Herb Age and Herb Thrasher on Twitter. We'll see you at this year's Hemp Fest. Crank it up. .420radio.org is proud to replay Weeducated Talk Radio with Ruby Lexington, Nikki Fox, Steve the Caregiver, and Jeff Kaufman from Arizona. Weeducated exists to help change the cultural response to cannabis through intelligent, meaningful conversations about how the industry is unfolding in America and beyond. Catch the replay Mondays at 10 Pacific on 420radio.org. Welcome back, everybody. 23 after the hour. That's music from the Dirt Ball with my show. And let's go back to our phone lines where I've had a guest who's been holding for a little bit. Sorry for keeping you on the line so long, but welcome to Toker Talk Radio. 816 area code. What's on your mind?
Thank you, Russ. That's a fantastic jacket you have there, and tying glasses. And we have a car lot in the Kansas City area that you could work out just fine in.
I got your car. I got the perfect car for you, sir. I know. I can see it in your eyes which car would be perfect for you, sir. I know. I found this jacket in Miami and I just fell in love with it. I don't know why. I just think I can rock this. That's all. I may be wrong.
Really, it's fantastic. Listen, I could walk around and kick the tires, and we could make a fortune overnight.
I'll do my best.
The only problem is we couldn't throw in a dime bag with it or anything because we're way behind enemy lines here.
Oh yeah, Kansas, man. I haven't done any.
Actually, Missouri.
What's that?
Actually, Missouri.
Oh, you're in the Missouri side. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Well, you did just
right,
get.
You know about this, right?
You did just get 10 grams of decriminalization.
We did.
Yeah, you sure did.
We were able to get that, and I am on paper and have been peeing in a cup for a year now.
Oh.
My case comes up in 17 days, but 20.4 grams of cannabis can make me a dealer here in Missouri.
Well, that's
how
possession
they
with
have me
intent.
charged, and that's just really fantastic. But listen, Wasserman and what went through the House, I really would like for you to talk about that a little bit more. And as far as the Senate side of it, I'm a little confused as far as progress is on that side of it. Look, we need change now. And yes, we did get 10 grams. Thank you. But thank you for your show and everything you do. It's just, and people in Oklahoma, by the way, that's a fantastic video, Fifth on the Floor.
Yeah, wasn't it?
That was great. I'm going to look at that a little bit more.
Yeah, we'll have some more Fifth on the Floor music tonight on Herb Thrasher Show at 8 o'clock.
And I heard you're going to open up a little more talk situation, however you want to call it. That's going to be happening a little bit more. Is that true?
Yeah. For hour one, I'm gonna cut the commercial breaks in about half. Each of them going to try to get them down to 30 seconds each, and then we're going to do Priscilla, our news intern, starts on Monday, and so she'll be Skyping in from Colorado. Doing our news like I used to do it with Cannabis Carry, where she'll read a story and then I'll do some in-depth, what's going on with it or laugh at it or whatever I do. And we'll double that. So it'll be about 12 minutes long of news. So yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun.
Well, that's great. Aaron was great too. And anybody that's out there doing anything like that is fantastic. I mean, we're way behind enemy lines here. Missouri had some movement, but look, I'm telling you, Missouri, Oklahoma, Texas, I mean, it's going to take a while.
Oh, yeah.
It's going to take where it looks like the Republicans, and it looks like it really comes down to them saying, well, we're losing.
Yeah.
It really comes down to that.
And what's going to force them into that is money.
And you have to force them into that, right?
Money is going to force them into that. I was reading this story about the sheriffs in these rural Nebraska and Oklahoma counties that are complaining because they got all these pot people coming through out of Colorado and God, we've had 3 times as many people as we normally have. We can't afford to jail them and feed them all. Gee, how about letting them go?
How about legalizing it?
There you go. And that's what it's going to have to take to change.
Or you could go the other way, which what happened in Atlanta today, and not even do any serious checking and have the sheriff's department go in and throw a flashbang into a crib of a child who is now in a coma in the hospital.
Yeah.
And I guess you could go that route.
Yeah.
And then go, I'm sorry.
Yeah, and that's a tragic story.
Did you report on that? I didn't get on the
I did not cover that story. But for those of you who don't know, yeah, it's pretty much as you said. The police were conducting one of these raids for, go after the druggies, and they threw one of these flashbang grenades because they always want to incapacitate the people in the house before they go in, and it landed in a kid's crib and burned them severely and comatose, and yeah, it's just awful. And their response to it was even worse.
For the drug war, Richard Nixon, we thank you. And your bones should be dug up and burned, but whatever.
And the response to it by these cops, though, was worse.
Thanks for everybody that's connected with it, and everybody that does anything with it, because the Midwest, we need to move forward and progress. And just thank you.
Hey, you're welcome.
Appreciate it.
You're welcome, man. And the response in that case was with the flashbang grenade was even worse. The police sergeant or whoever it was says, well, we'll have to train. We will review our training to make sure that we do this more carefully.
I watched it. The sheriff's department in my county that have me for manufacturing and the whole bit for 4.4 grams of cannabis. That's wet, by the way.
Of course it is.
Okay, so it was the sheriff's department in Atlanta, Georgia that did this. So if Americans think, and they have a problem with this, a lot of them think that the sheriff's department is really on the side of the American people, and that's their last defense before federal. I'm sorry, but they all have SWAT teams. They all act like this. Many times they get the wrong addresses. I mean, many times this happens monthly in America, and people just don't realize it.
Yeah, required reading out there.
I would just ask people to search that out and look for false and just really things that happen like this within agencies, sheriff, in their local agencies, and check into it. And work against it and work for legalization. Thank you, Russ.
Hey, you're welcome. Yeah. And required reading for anyone out there is a book by Radley Balco called Rise of the Warrior Cop. And it details how these police units got more and more militarized, and how the war on drugs is this self-serving engine that funds this militarization. And it just gets more and more militarized. They seize more and more assets. They turn that into, body armor and flashbang grenades and tank units and, just a ridiculous level of boy toys that they get to play with. And we want to stop that. And thanks to this vote in the House, you asked me to talk a little bit about this. So here's let me give you the play-by-play. And again, this is highly simplified and limited to my knowledge, which isn't, I'm not super wonky on politics. I'm not Rachel Maddow, so I'll do my best. But every year, the House of Representatives has to pass an appropriations bill, which is money. Take the money from the taxes and in what investments, whatever else, but take all the money and spend it on stuff to keep government running. Okay. And that's, in the Constitution, the House, the people's house will control the purse, basically, the pocketbook. All right. So this appropriations bill, when it comes up, has these budget items for, this much money for the DEA, this much money for defense, this much money for Social Security, blah, blah, blah. And then the representatives can add these amendments. And, each amendment is usually some narrow little thing like, okay, we're going to fund, $5 million to study, bird sanctuaries in the Upper Peninsula of Michigan, sponsored by the representative from the Upper Peninsula of Michigan, right? So there's stuff like that. But this amendment is one that has been tried 6 times before. It's been going on since 2003. It was called the Hinchy-Rohrabacher Amendment when Maurice Hinchy was the Democrat from New York who was the co-sponsor. He's not in the Congress anymore, so now it's Sam Farr, Democrat from California. So it's the Rohrabacher-Farr Amendment. But it's basically always the same thing. And what the amendment says is no tax money shall be used by the Department of Justice to go after the lawful actions under state law, under state medical marijuana laws, basically. It's like if people are following their state medical marijuana laws, the Department of Justice can't spend any money to stop that. Even though weed is federally legal, even though federal law trumps state law. It doesn't change the criminality at the federal level of weed. It's still Schedule 1. It's still highly illegal. But it stops the DEA and the Department of Justice. It's, it's a larger, entity, right? It stops them from being able to spend any money enforcing federal law in the states that have made medical marijuana legal. To my understanding, this would mean you could smoke a joint in front of a DEA agent, and if you're a patient, he couldn't do a damn thing about it. Well, maybe the public, can't smoke in public laws has something to do with it. Maybe if you're in your house in front of a DEA agent. So don't quote me necessarily on this. But the basic thing is it pulls the money from DOJ and DEA from doing anything against medical marijuana. Now, they still have their mandate. They can still go into the federal forests and, stop cartels from growing plots of weed illegally. They can still do that. They can still stop, cocaine couriers in Colorado, right? They still have plenty to do. But they just can't mess around with patients, with dispensaries, or any lawful medical marijuana grows. So this is, amazing, fantastic news, of course. Now, that passed the House, so it's done. It's done on the House side as far as it passing. But then, of course, you got the Senate. And the Senate has to review the appropriations bill, and it can also add amendments and it's a different, as Aaron Houston was telling us, it's a different process as far as how the Senate amends things, and it's a different type of politics that goes on there. The small red states have outwardly more power than they do in the House, right? Because Wyoming has 2 senators and California has 2 senators. So, they can monkey around with it a bit. So while Aaron is pretty sanguine on, he said he's cautiously optimistic about, getting through the Senate, I'm not as optimistic. I think that, let's take our victory that we won in the House, but I don't think this survives the Senate. Now, I could be very wrong on this. I hope I'm very wrong on this. I'd love it to get past the Senate. But what'll have to happen is the Senate will come up with all its bills, and then they have like a conference committee, right? And that will be the House and the Senate negotiating the differences between their two bills, right? So even if the Senate, and I think this is the way it works, I could be wrong, but even if the Senate doesn't come up with its own amendment for, defunding the Department of Justice on these medical marijuana actions, it still has to reconcile its bill with the House bill that has that amendment. So at that conference level, perhaps that amendment gets added as a bargaining chip for something else the Senate wants. I don't know. Now you're too deep in the weeds for me, but I just know that this House victory is a major victory, but let's bide our time on the full celebration of this until President Obama is actually signing it into the law, and these raids on medical marijuana states can no longer ever happen in the United States. Gothic Prophet in our chat room is absolutely right. Talk to your senators. Of course, my senators are Jeff Merkley and Ron Wyden, who are already way cool on this issue. But if you're in one of them red states, you're out there behind enemy lines, as my caller put it, definitely start talking to your senators. Remind them that this doesn't make weed legal. It just establishes states' rights on medical marijuana. That might break through in some of the red states, you think? Stick around. We'll be right back.
You're tuned into the Russ Belville Show, the voice of the marijuana nation.
Let him bring in the beat. Adam Hand of Handmade Apparel produces quality custom designs for t-shirts, hats, and other apparel. Handmade Apparel is the official design shop for 420 Radio, The Russ Belville Show, Ganja John, and Cascadia Concentrates, among many clients who rely on Adam Hand for everything from short-run custom projects to full-run clothing lines. Adam's meticulous designs are individually crafted and screened in vibrant, high-definition color. Visit handmadeapparel.biz to browse the selection of handmade gear or to get a personal quote for your own designs. Handmade Apparel, a proud supporter of 420radio.org.
Let him bring in the beat.
Support the Russ Belville Show. Text the word Russ to 420-420 and connect with the National Cannabis Coalition. You can also send $10 to the Russ Belville Show right from your smartphone. That's Russ to 420-420. You're listening to Radical Russ on the Russ Belville Show.
You can get 420 Radio on the go with the Ustream video app for Android and iPhone. Go to rad-r.us/420Ustream or just click the Ustream app icon for Android or iPhone below the live radio feed at 420.
Hi, I'm cannabis.
I'm alcohol.
Do you know that I can be used to treat a number of physical and psychological conditions like depression, Huntington's disease, and osteosclerosis?
Your mother's an osteoporosis.
I can also be used to help those who are abusing our friend over here.
You know what the problem is with you? You think you're better than everybody else. Hey, look at me, I'm weed.
Okay, I actually do prefer to be called cannabis. I'm illegal.
I'm illegal, because weed makes you stupid.
Potluck! Hello County representative, smoke big! We smoke a lot of pot that we cannot afford. It makes my eyes drop low like I'm Pauly Shore. Hot box the whole building, out to get millions. Put the child under the door, we smoking more than Ricky.
Buck back 40 after the hour, so double your pleasure, double your fun. Smoke up 2 joints instead of just one. You're listening to Toker Talk Radio on the 420 Radio Network. I'm Radical Russ, glad to have you here. And guess what next week is? Well, yeah, it's June, right? But next week is the 2nd anniversary of the independent Russ Belville Show. Well, thank you. Wow. Nice reaction. Yeah, so next week, the 4th, which I believe is Wednesday, right? Is our 2nd anniversary of going live and independent. First as Potnet, and then on National Cannabis Radio, and then finally on 420 Radio. So 3 different networks, but same good old show. So we'll be around show number 420 sometime right before the 4th of July, I believe. So that'll be cool. And also next week begins Hemp History Week. We love Hemp History Week here at 420 Radio. So check this out. I just got a press release from my friend Joy Beckerman-Marr, who's the president of the Washington State chapter of the Hemp Industries Association. And I've asked her to be a guest on our show on Monday after the Dr. Mitch segment. So we'll have her tell us more about Hemp History Week. But I can tell you a little bit about what they've got going on. Now, Hemp History Week runs June 2nd through June 8th. And on the 7th, June 7th, which will be next Saturday, they're having a screening of an award-winning industrial hemp film. The film Bringing It Home is going to be screened in Seattle. It was the director's choice for Best Environmental Film at the Sedona Film Festival. You got the Jury Award at the Nevada City Film Festival and Silver Tree Audience Choice Award at the inaugural Cape Town Eco Film Festival in South Africa. So, you know, hey, this has been seen and liked by lots of international audiences even. You ought to check it out. It's Bringing It Home, and it talks about, you know, with this recent Farm Bill passage that allows the states to start growing research hemp, what is the history of hemp and what has happened to it and what is its future. The screening is going to be hosted by Seattle Hemp Fest, and they'll have a Q&A session right after it, moderated by the Washington Hemp Industries Association by Joy Beckerman-Marr and other experts there at Town Hall Seattle. This is the 5th annual Hemp History Week. The film was produced by Bullfrog Films, and Bringing It Home will be seen on Saturday, June 7th. It's going to be at 7:15 p.m. There's going to be, now they have an exhibit they're showing called the Hands-on Hemp exhibit. So the Hands-on Hemp exhibit opens at 6:15 p.m. And then the Q&A starts at 8:15 p.m. So it's a short film. It's just an hour, right? Town Hall Seattle, 1119 8th Avenue in Seattle, Washington. The admission is just $4. $4, man, to see this award-winning film, to see a great hemp exhibit. Hell, I might go up there. I might go up there and cover it. We shall see. But you can find out tickets and information at hempmovieseattle.com. That's hempmovieseattle.com. And again, all Hemp History Week, June 2nd through 8th, it's a time to grow is the theme of Hemp History Week. There's a list of events sponsored by Seattle Hemp Fest and the Washington Hemp Industries Association. You can find that information at hemphistoryweek.com. hemphistoryweek.com. And thanks to Joy Beckerman-Marr for sending me that information. We hope to have her on the show on Monday. You can find out more about her and her consulting at hempace.com, like an ace in the sleeve, right? hempace.com. And it's so good. I love seeing these activists who volunteered years of their lives and put their professional reputations on the line. Oh, I just figured out what makes that noise. That's great. Put their reputations on the line, volunteered for years for, you know, usually very little praise and a lot of personal heartache sometimes for some of us. To see these folks now who came up through the marijuana movement, who are marijuana smokers, not vapors, not patients, smokers, marijuana smokers, coming up and taking their rightful place within this emerging industry and helping to shape this industry so that it doesn't morph into the Walmart of weed or the Marlboro of marijuana. You know, people that are scared of that, oh, it's going to be all big and corporate. Well, yeah, if you let it be big and corporate, right? But if you get involved, if you're still politically active, and if you start forming the businesses, maybe when those businesses get big, they don't act corporate. Maybe we can do something about that. Maybe we can make that change. I, for one, think that the marijuana market's going to be a lot like the beer market. There's Budweiser. There's Coors Light. There's Miller. You can drink that if you want. There's plenty of it. You can get it anywhere you want. It's pretty cheap. But there's also Sam Adams and Hefeweizen and you know, all these different craft brews. I couldn't give you more examples because I don't I don't drink beer. But there's all sorts of that going on. So why can't that be somewhat of a model for what happens here with marijuana? That there'll be, you know, cheap pre-roll packs of decent smoke that you can get cheap. And there'll be fine consumer, you know, connoisseur level buds by these, you know, small market growers. They can be the same. Hey, oh, by the way, just looking in the chat room, Dylan Bud. Hey, Bradley Steinman supposed to be our guest, and I got a text from him asking the address of the studio. So I sent him that text back. Gosh, it must have been around 3:30. So he should be here anytime. I've been waiting for him, and I'm ready to go with a talk with Bradley Steinman if he arrives anytime soon. So let me make sure that we're ready for that. Bradley Steinman's just a longtime activist here. Well, I shouldn't say long time. He moved here fairly recently, but met him when he was first just wide-eyed about, oh my God, look at all the weed, look at Oregon, it's so cool. And seen him come through being an activist and now, you know, going to law school and now becoming a defense attorney. So he's going to talk a little bit about that voyage and what he's got planned for the future. In the meantime, we'll take a little break. When we come back, we will talk some more, hopefully with Bradley here. If not, I got a few stories that we can talk about here. Or you can call in at 971-533-7111. I'm Radical Russ. Stay tuned.
The Russ Belville Show is blogging and podcasting daily at RadicalRuss.com.
Are you or is someone you know a marijuana smoker? Have you or is someone in your family been arrested for a marijuana violation? You need to know the truth about pot. NORML, the National Organization for the Reform of Marijuana Laws, is the most comprehensive source of information regarding marijuana and its effects on health, as well as legal issues. NORML even offers a database of lawyers specializing in cannabis in your area. NORML, the nation's largest and most successful marijuana law reform organization, has spent decades gathering the knowledge and science on everything related to cannabis. NORML is the best resource to find out the truth about marijuana, connect with a lawyer in your area, or help find an end to prohibition. Information is available at norml.org, that's NORML.org, or toll free at 888-67-NORML.
420radio.org is proud to replay Stony Sundays with Coral Reefer from San Francisco, California. Cannabis patient and activist Coral Reefer is one of the most popular marijuana personalities on YouTube. Her Stony Sundays and News Nugs entertain and educate the audience. Catch the replays on Monday at 1 Pacific here on 420radio.org.
Ever wonder how often to change your bong water? The most effective method for baking pot brownies? The best destinations for a ganja getaway. How to hide herb in your car. Whether to grow your own. How precisely to legalize it. Or how something as wonderful as marijuana ever got to be illegal in the first place. Finally, you can find all these answers and much more in the official High Times Pot Smoker's Handbook. featuring 420 things to do when you're stoned. Since 1974, High Times magazine has covered marijuana in all its aspects and wonders, from cultivation to legalization to the herb's enduring and exalted place in popular culture. Packed with inside information, the official High Times Pot Smoker's Handbook rolls all of this collected wisdom together into a single indispensable ganja guide, including an entertaining look at marijuana's history, profiles of herb-friendly travel destinations and festivals, favorite potluck recipes from the High Times staff, smoking skills, advocacy and activism, essential marijuana movies and songs, profiles of famous cannabis strains, comprehensive growing information, celebrity endorsements, and much more. This is truly, finally, the ultimate guide to green living.
Welcome back. That's music from... there's my mic. Welcome back. That's music from Prophecy. God, it's Friday. Everything's gone to hell. That's the effect of the double plaid, people. Do not fear the double plaid. Respect the double plaid. That's right. Plaid jacket, plaid tie. Because I ain't messing around. It's Toker Talk Radio. We're just winding up a Friday. And coming up next, oh my God, great replay of last week's Herb Thrasher Flower Hour, his interview with Mark Hunter from Chimera. Chimera will be playing at Seattle Hemp Fest, and it's going to be metal mayhem at the McWilliams stage at Seattle Hemp Fest. It's going to be just packed. And so we talked to Mark Hunter for quite a long time. In fact, about the first 45 minutes of the show is all Chimera music and Mark Hunter interview. So stay tuned for that. It's pretty dang awesome. What else did I have to mention? Oh, yeah, like I said, still waiting for Bradley Steinman. Unfortunately, it doesn't appear like he's going to be making it, but my apologies. We were going to have him on earlier. I think he probably texted me much earlier, and I just didn't check my phone in time. So sorry about that, but we would get that taken care of. We are... I was sitting here doing some back of the envelope type calculations because today was show number 402. So people were wondering, hey, well, show number 420 is coming up. When's that going to be? So, if we just went Monday through Friday through June, it'd be on June 27th. But next Friday, this is a little programming note. Next Friday, I'll be on an airplane heading to Dallas for the Texas Regional Normal Conference. So next Friday, there won't be a show. And the following Monday, I think it's like June 6th and June 9th. There won't be shows. So there's two of them that we can't count. So that moves the date up to like June 29th or something. Yeah, June 29th. But then June 29th is the Friday that we're traveling down the Pacific Coast to go to the Cannabis Cup in Sonoma. So that's the Friday, and then the following Monday driving back. So if my calculations are correct, our show number 420, let me see, think about this. 4 to carry the 3, add 2 plus 1. Yes, show number 420 will happen on July 1st. See? So there you go. So 420, show number 420 of the independent Russ Belville show taking place on July 1st. Looking forward to that. And like I mentioned earlier, there's going to be some changes in the show in that we're moving Daily Toker Tunes to Hour 2. And the reason for that is I'm trying to build Hour 1 as a show that's primarily talk so that I can get it on iHeartRadio. They rejected my application for iHeartRadio because there's too much music in the show. And that even means that I might have to trim the intro, the outros, some of the commercials, all sorts of things. So I'm going to take a look at all of that. But basically, it just means that in Hour 1, the podcast, you're going to get much more content. The breaks will be shorter. The news segments will have more interaction and talk, and it'll just be more of what you listen to the Russ Belville show for. So hope you like that. Hour 2, the sad part about Hour 2 is it means we'll no longer be podcasting Hour 2. But checking from my podcast statistics, it's not going to be a crushing blow. Apologize to the people that have been getting it as a podcast. But if we're going to continue and get bigger and bigger, I got to really be more careful about music licensing. And we have ASCAP, BMI, and CSAC licensing for broadcast, so I can play anything. I can play any Led Zeppelin. I can play that, so it can play live on 420 radio. Problem is once that becomes an MP3 file and it's downloadable, even though it's embedded as part of a 1 hour show, even one song as an MP3 file embedded, that can be problematic as far as licensing goes. So, been pushing the limits, but it's time now to just kind of ease up on that and play things by the book and do this right. So hour 2, we will continue to play stuff because, again, we've got the BMI, ASCAP, and CSAC licensing, but that means we won't be podcasting hour 2. The only way you'll be able to hear hour 2 is during the replays that happen at 4 a.m., 7 a.m., and 4 p.m., and 7 p.m. So 4 and 7 a.m. and p.m., I should say. You'll be able to hear him that way, and you'll be able to catch him on the YouTube attachment that will be in the post on 420 Radio. So if you go to the 420 Radio website, you can watch the YouTube on demand. Now, you might be thinking, well, wait a minute. How come you can't put a song in the podcast, but you can put one in the YouTube? Yeah, trust me. That frustrates me as well. The reason why is because YouTube does have some licensing agreements as far as people being able to on-demand download and listen to. Well, you're actually not downloading, but it's on-demand play. So they do have those licensing agreements with a lot of these artists. Not everyone. Every now and then you load up a video on YouTube and it gets rejected because of somebody's particular song that doesn't have licensing. But by and large, I'll be able to post most of the Toker Talk radios there. You'll be able to see them. Yes, it is VIP membership to be able to get to the posts for Toker Talk Radio. I do have to keep something as a content bonus for the VIP members, but you can become a VIP member for as low as $4.20 a month. That's our copper membership, $4.20, or the bronze membership at $9.99 a month, or more if you can afford it. But I understand times are tough, and it's through PayPal, so you can sign up for a month, and if you don't want to keep doing it, you can cancel it, and it automatically, there's no hassle on my end. It just takes care of the membership and everything. So you can go ahead and do that if you like. All right. So as we wind up on this Friday, we will have the Herb Thrasher Flower Hour coming up live tonight at 8 p.m. We'll have another interview and more great videos and your requests in our 2-hour focus on thrash. And that means thrash metal and thrash country. If they're playing country fast, we'll play that too. So check it out on the Herb Thrasher Flower Hour. There'll be more live events with Herb Thrasher. And we just got a invitation from one of the local dispensaries / lounges here in Portland to do a live show from their dispensary, live Herb Thrasher show. So check that out. We'll be keeping you posted. Also, I will be in Olympia tomorrow night. I'm going to be visiting some of the Washington Normal activists, just going up for a social visit, just to hang out. So that's new. That's kind of fun. Going to head up to Olympia for Saturday. Then I'll be in Seattle on Sunday visiting some potential business partners. So we'll check that out, see how well it turns out. I'll keep you posted when I can say more, but I can't right yet. Thanks, everybody, for your support here at 420radio.org and the Russ Belville Show. Again, we're going into our 3rd year now. We're 2 years live and independent. Thanks to you and your support, and thanks to our volunteers who've helped keep us on the air. Appreciate almost each and every one of you. There's one that I'm not so fond of. But anyway, I appreciate most of you. And thank you for your support. If you can financially support 420 Radio, you can become a VIP member. Just go to our website at 420radio.org and look for the VIP donate button on the top menu. If you're a company, you can advertise on 420 Radio and on the Russ Belville Show. Just go to 420radio.org and click on the advertise link up there in the top menu. We're getting bigger and better as the marijuana green rush continues. Thanks for being here on the ground floor. All right, have yourselves a great weekend. I'll talk to you again on Monday. I'm Radical Russ. Thanks so much. And until next time, take care of each other, tokers.
This is the Russ Belville Show. The Russ Belville Show is blogging and podcasting daily at radicalruss.com.
your giant